Hey guys, it's Wil Fleming for the IYCA and Force Fitness and Performance, and I wanted to talk to you today about a little bit about my talk that I'm going to do at the Elite Fitness Performance Summit coming up here later in September. And the talk before the conference is going to be about Power Evolution Live. And so over the last several years, I've definitely become known as an Olympic lifting guy, if you can give me a title. So I've been known as an Olympic lifting guy, and but one of the most popular things that I've done with the IYCA is a product I did with Coach Dose called Power Evolution. And I wanted to give you guys a little bit of feedback about the thought process that went into Power Evolution. So as an Olympic lifting guy, I'm very convinced of the power of using the Olympic lifts to improve athletic performance. I've seen it with myself, and I've seen it with hundreds and hundreds of athletes that we've worked with. We've seen increased speed, improved vertical jump, improved measures of performance all across the board. So I'm definitely in the camp that thinks that Olympic lifting is important and can definitely be used to improve performance. But the other side of the coin is not everybody's appropriate for Olympic lifting. So you could have young athletes who have very little experience in the weight room and they're not yet ready for Olympic lifting. You could have, at the other end of the spectrum, you could have athletes that are elite, maybe professional athletes that have never Olympic lifted yet, and they're already getting paid to play. So improving their power output through Olympic lifts might decrease their ability to improve performance, because we have a learning curve with Olympic lifts, and there is some potential for injury with doing a complex move if you don't know how to coach it right. So we have our young athletes, we also have our super elite athletes, and we have athletes along the spectrum who may not check all the boxes that we might want to see to do the Olympic lift. So maybe these people have a poor hip hinge, or they have a poor active straight leg raise to the FMS. So in that case, those athletes may be not cleared to do hip hinging because their active straight leg raise score is too low, or they have an asymmetry, and so we have to increase power still while improving that score. We may have athletes who have poor core control, so even doing the lifts from the hang are going to be an issue. So in that case, again, we're going to have to improve power through another way. So at the Elite Fitness and Performance Summit, I'm going to go through a lot of the progressions that we talked about with the product Power Evolution that I did with Coach Dose. And we're going to talk about how to use sandbags as potentially replacements for Olympic lifting, but also as augments to an Olympic lift, and maximal high power, high threshold power output movements. We're going to talk about body weight or typical strength exercises as used on the high end of that force velocity curve, where we're just talking about maximal strength. We're going to talk about plyometrics as a big tool for using for improving power, because we're working on the velocity side. We're going to work with bands. We're going to work with medicine balls, and bands and medicine balls are two tools that I think are super valuable in terms of improving your athlete's power output, because we can have uninhibited movement. So throwing a medicine ball, there's no deceleration phase. We're just delivering the medicine ball in a side throw, overhead, in a scoop toss for distance, uninhibited, all concentric, mimics some of the stuff that we're going to use for Olympic lifting, and we can have medicine balls from 2 pounds to 20 pounds and hit a big part of that force velocity curve that's so important for improving power output. Bands are another tool that we're going to use, and of course at the Elite Fitness and Performance Summit, I'm going to work with barbells and teach you guys some super simple movements in the Olympic lift category that almost all athletes can do. So rather than just a typical clean and jerk and snatch, we're going to do stuff like muscle snatch. We're going to do stuff like hang power clean. We're going to do stuff, the combinations like clean pulls with cleans. We're going to do snatch pulls, all that kind of stuff that'll improve power output without maybe necessarily going into that full-on Olympic lifting segment that I've become so well known for, but something that everybody can use, stuff that we've used with our athletes here at Force Fitness for over 6 years with tremendous success, putting 75 athletes at Division I, having pro athletes in multiple sports. And I should mention that a lot of those pro athletes haven't done Olympic lifts in the traditional sense. They've either done a variation, or they've done some of the other power output focused lifts that we're seeing in Power Evolution, and that you guys will learn about at the Elite Fitness and Performance Summit. So I hope you guys will join me. at the Elite Fitness and Performance Summit for the pre-conference, Power Evolution Live, learn some of the tricks and tools that I use with our athletes here at Force Fitness to get tremendous results and have the most powerful athletes on the field.